this session of College Prep 101, Kelby, being a current student at Lamar University, will share some terms that you encounter as you search for your school. Knowing these terms will help you make an informed decision about which school is right for you.
To help you manage the search for the right school, I want to share a few concepts that might be a little bit confusing if you aren't familiar with the terms. Let's start with the types of schools out there. So there are lots of different types of schools out there. There's two-year colleges, four-year colleges, universities, private and public colleges or universities, military academies, religious or historically Black colleges. For the two-year colleges, an example of that would be a community college or junior college, also known as a JUCO, and technical schools. Two-year colleges award certificates or associate degrees, which would just take 2 years versus a bachelor's would take 4. These schools may allow guaranteed transfer to a four-year college or university. Lamar has this type of agreement with LIT, for example. Most do not offer housing, and they're typically a less expensive option versus a four-year institution. So for four-year colleges, the difference here is that they award bachelor's degrees. They may offer associate degrees, and then they offer some housing, but it's not guaranteed. It's more of a university-like experience than a two-year college. For universities, they're the same as four-year colleges, but the difference is that they also offer graduate programs as well. The admission requirements they're competitive, but it's basically the same thing as four-year colleges, but you can continue with graduate programs. Okay, so let's talk about student types. For undergraduate, that would basically mean that you are a student at a college or university who has not yet earned their bachelor's degree. This would be your first 4 years of college. For a graduate student, you would be a student who has earned your bachelor's degree and you're studying for a more advanced degree. An example of an advanced degree would be a master's degree, a doctoral degree, or a law degree. The difference between public and private schools: public schools are typically primarily funded by state tax revenues. They can be very affordable if you're an in-state student. Out-of-state tuition can be similar to a private school. It's a bit more expensive to go out of state with public schools. They are secular. There's no religious affiliation. So for private schools, they're funded by tuition, donations, and interest on endowment. They're usually a bit more expensive, and there is no preference with in-state or out-of-state. It's the same cost all around. They are sometimes associated with religion as well. For military academies, they're co-ed. They're for both men and women. There's very high admission standards with military academies. They do require military service after graduation, but in return, they give you free tuition and you get to go to school for free with them. So there's less freedom than with other schools, and they do incorporate physical training and discipline as well. For religious colleges or universities, they focus on particular faiths. Students may or may not practice the religion in order to attend the school. Religion and theology are incorporated into the curriculum as well in a religious school. They often adhere to rules or behaviors, so there's a bit less freedom. For historically Black colleges, there are over 100 HBCs, as they're referred to typically. They can offer academic and social communities that promote success. Tuition may be lower than at a comparative school. Okay, so there are lots of different admissions types that it's really important to educate yourself about. There is regular decision, rolling admission, early action, early decision, and restricted early action. So here's a little diagram from NACAC, which we definitely recommend. The link is right here at the bottom. It's a good source if you want to educate yourself on any of those admissions types. But anything that's located on the left is a bit more flexible of an admissions type, and the ones on the right, they're a bit more commitment oriented. So for example, if you apply for early decision for whatever school, you're committing to attending if you are accepted. You'd have to withdraw all other applications and you'd be bound to that school. The main thing to know about admissions types is that they do vary. Check your school's admissions page to see what type of decision they may, and then educate yourself by visiting nacacnet.org. It's definitely good to know what you're getting into before you commit to something like that. Okay, so paying for college is an important part of the admissions process as well as being in school. You have to understand the financial aid side of things, and it typically starts with FAFSA. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and it's typically used to determine eligibility for federal aid and often used to determine eligibility for other aid as well throughout your school. The application opens on October 1st. That is very important because the earlier that you apply, the more likely you are to get more financial aid. You want to be one of the first people to apply, so it's important to look for that date. Every year it's the same. When it comes to paying for college, there's several ways that you can have help or financial aid. So with grants, they're need-based money and you do not have to pay them back. With scholarships, they're merit or performance-based. They can be academic or they can be athletic. They don't have to be paid back as well. With work study, they're need-based campus jobs, and your earnings from the job that you work on campus goes towards your tuition and fees. With federal loans, they're fixed low interest rate money that must be repaid after. A few common mistakes when applying to school are listed right here. Not completing the FAFSA early. Like I said, it opens October 1st, and it's so important to get a head start on that. Using an incorrect social security number. If you don't have a social security number, the Department of Education recommends just using zeros throughout. Not listing schools that you plan to apply to. Not using your legal name. That can cause some confusion with the admissions process. Listing income that does not match IRS information. Leaving too many fields blank. Always enter a 0 or NA if you don't have an answer for that. Failure to register for selective services, and forgetting to sign your application. Also, some people, they'll go through Apply Texas sometime and they won't exactly submit it. So definitely make sure that it's submitted. Look for confirmation emails always. Now that you know a little bit more about the types of school and terms used, be sure to complete our Finding the Right Fit session so you can find the right school for you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this session of College Prep 101. Be sure to check out the worksheet link below to apply what you've learned today. If you have any questions about today's topic or want to learn more about Lamar University, click the Find Your Admissions Counselor link on this page to access contact information for the counselor in your area. Also, be sure to follow all of our social media accounts.